Hello, Star Wars fans. Today is going to be my breakdown and reaction to Ahsoka Episode 8, and what an episode it was. What a fantastic finale to an excellent season. Now, of course, there will be spoilers as usual, so make sure you've seen the episode first, but assuming you have, let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Now, we've come to a new month, October, and so it's time for a new contest. And this time is going to be a little different. I'm celebrating hitting 10,000 subscribers on the channel, so thank you to everyone who has supported the channel. I really can't say thank you enough, but this is an attempt to do so at least, because for October, there will not be one, but actually 5 winners chosen, and they'll be announced in early November. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment. And if you happen to be one of those 5 winners, you can choose from one of these 4 books, or from one of the new Steel books that are being released. I'm so glad Disney is finally letting people get physical copies of the media, and you can choose from, DVD, Blu-ray, or of course the 4K. So all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment, and best of luck. All right, so I love the fact that the episode opens right up with Thrawn, saying, "Hey, do not underestimate these Jedi. Even I fell victim to the heroics of a single Jedi." I'm sure that just torques him to have to say that. Oh, really frustrates him. And of course, he's referring to the end of Rebels Season 4, where Ezra used the Purgles to grab himself and Thrawn and the ship and send them to Peridia, where, of course, we pick up at the beginning of this season. So, yeah, he's basically saying, never again. That is never, never happening to me again. Love it. He's awesome. On the other hand, Morgan looks like she's going to get a power-up. Remember, Morgan is being basically thanked by the Nightsisters for coming to rescue them and get them out of this galaxy and back to the other galaxy. So they say, you should be rewarded. The gift of shadows. That sounds menacing, right? Do you pledge yourself to the sisterhood, to the magics, Majiks, yikes, to the old ways? And then, I don't know, this doesn't look pleasant. I don't know that I would want to go through this. I mean, she's getting quite a power-up, but, oh, that looks painful. That just looks painful. But this does explain, finally, why she doesn't have the Night Sister markings, because she hadn't gone through this ceremony yet. And now, of course, she's got the darker eyes and the facial markings. So, yeah, yikes. And I love that she now gets a hold of the blade of Mother Talzin. So they conjure it up, as you can see, and then refer to it as the blade of Talzin. So this is one of the many examples where I love what Filoni's done. If you're a longtime Clone Wars, in this case, fan, but also Rebels fan, then you know some of this lore. But even if you don't, all you know is, hey, it's a really cool sword, and that's all that matters, that this thing kicks butt. So very nice little Easter egg that if you knew the backstory, great, but if you didn't, it doesn't matter. But for the record, in Clone Wars, this sword was very powerful. This is Mother Talzin, who they're referring to here, and she used it even to take on Mace Windu. So yeah, very, very cool. Love this weapon and love this Easter egg and callback to Clone Wars. All right, so yeah, she's ready to go, right? She is ready to go. And I love that Thrawn is just watching the whole time, just standing there and observing, doesn't say a word. And then he gets his boss move here as the TIE fighters get launched out. You see them undock and fly, and they're gone. And he's just standing there looking like a total boss. Absolutely love Thrawn. He is going to be such a fantastic villain in the upcoming movies and series. All right, so then we get a very clever title, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Warlock, which of course is referring to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a very famous C.S. Lewis book. And it perfectly fits all the different characters that we have, obviously, in this episode. Okay, so someone explain this to me. Why did they bring the Noti along? I mean, yeah, they're cute and fun, but I guess they thought they needed to be protected. But protected from who? Because there's no way Thrawn's going to go after them. Thrawn doesn't even care. Thrawn wants to destroy the ship and wants to keep Ahsoka and the team away, but he didn't care about the Noti. And those raiders that attacked them before, I mean, they've obviously survived for 10 years, so I don't think they need protection from them. I don't get it. I mean, yes, it looks cool. It looks really cool. They're all hanging out with them. But all it did was put them in danger, actually, as we'll see, and slow down Ahsoka and team. I don't know. Help me out. If somebody knows why, help me out. But nonetheless, it added some extra drama. So it is true, though, the reason they're going so slow and taking their time is they want Ezra to be able to build his new lightsaber. So, Hu Yang gets in the best lines here where he's like, stop it. Everything here is organized. Ezra says, yeah, it's disorganized because I have a system. And Hu Yang's like, oh, no. You, sir, have a method, not a system or anything resembling a process. David Tennant knocked it out of the park in this series as Hu Yang. Just so awesome. So awesome. So then Hu Yang asks, well, who taught you how to build a lightsaber anyway? And it's Sabine that chimes in with Kanan Jarrus, to which, Hu Yang is that so? Interesting, he says. Well, Kanan Jarrus, I think everybody kind of has an idea by this time who Kanan Jarrus is, but if you haven't seen Rebels, just as a reminder, Kanan is the one that had the relationship with Hera and ultimately had their child together, Jason. And as is mentioned here, Kanan is the one that taught Ezra how to use a lightsaber, how to build a lightsaber, etc. So what's interesting is Hu Yang says, well, I told you, I taught almost every youngling in the Jedi Temple, and Caleb, he refers to him as, was a clever boy, very curious, a little shy perhaps. So on this one, again, this might be one of those references that as someone who hasn't seen Rebels, you might have just got confused. Why did they say Caleb? What's going on? Who cares? Moving on. I mean, it was a fun little Easter egg that if you were a Rebels fan, you understood. Well, I want to point it out because this is actually pretty cool. So during Order 66, which is what we're basically seeing here, this is an episode of The Bad Batch, which, by the way, if you've never seen Bad Batch, that's another good series to check out. But if you haven't seen it, that's fine. It's just we actually see Order 66 happening in Bad Batch. Well, little Caleb, who's over on the left there, runs away. He escapes, which is cool. But he changes his name from Caleb to Kanan. So it kind of gave you this understanding of, hey, the few Jedi that weren't killed during the Great Purge, Order 66, how did they survive? How did no one find them? Well, one of the ways is they changed their name. So it's a fun little Easter egg that Hu Yang refers to him as Caleb, not Kanan. Now, he knows him as both, but he taught him when he was Caleb. So very cool. So Hu Yang explains, I had two of those, two sabers. Kanan took the one, the other I held on to in case he ever needed it. And so, sure enough, Ezra ultimately gets Kanan's old lightsaber. So that's very cool. You can tell he's happy. And it's kind of nice to see a saber finally in Ezra's hands. So awesome. And then we finally get our answer as to what has been going on with Sabine and Ahsoka, basically this entire series. So Hu Yang fills in Ezra and says Ahsoka became afraid that Sabine was training as a Jedi for the wrong reasons. He explains that her parents, Sabine's parents, were wiped out during the Night of 1,000 Tears, which if you watched Mandalorian, which most people who are watching Ahsoka probably did, then you know that was when basically Mandalore was just scrubbed clean by the Empire. And Sabine's parents were killed during that. So Ahsoka was worried that she was wanting to become a Jedi for revenge. And of course, if you become a Jedi for the wrong reasons, if your heart's in the wrong place, you're going to get tempted by the Sith and you're going to turn dark. So at the time, Ahsoka felt that if Sabine unlocked her potential, she would become dangerous. Okay, boy, it finally makes sense, right? I mean, I kind of wish they had revealed this earlier, but on the other hand, it was just interesting to slowly see it play out. And now we understand why it was so important for Ahsoka to have that experience with Anakin. Whether they were in the world between worlds or it was his Force ghost talking to her in limbo, whatever you believe, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it was Anakin helping Ahsoka resolve her feelings that Ahsoka herself may turn to the dark side, but also that if Ahsoka trains Sabine, it might turn Sabine to the dark side. So yeah, this really brings it all full circle, but boy, it took a long time to get this answer, but very cool. I liked it a lot. Then we kind of then get this idea why Ahsoka is so understanding of Sabine, although I'm being honest, I think she lets Sabine off the hook here, because Sabine says, you're not mad, and this is about, the whole coming to Peridia to rescue Ezra thing. And Ahsoka says a wise thing, over the years, I've made my share of difficult choices. And that no matter what happens next, I'm going to be there for you. And she's saying that because Anakin was there for her, right? Which is great. I like that part of the message, but just because, you want someone to know, hey, I'm there for you no matter what, doesn't mean you can't give them the hard lesson of, but you still shouldn't have done what you did. I want someone to tell Sabine, this was a bad idea. You've literally unleashed Thrawn on our galaxy, and thousands of people are going to die. So, yeah, I get it. I'm going to stand behind you, but you did screw up. That's what I felt was missing here. So hopefully somebody's going to tell that to Sabine at some point. But nonetheless, it is cool that this relationship, this master and apprentice relationship, looks like it's going to come back again now because both of them had some healing. All right, great. Then we get one of the many cool battles in this episode. I tell you what, the special effects in this entire series have been fantastic because these TIE fighters come in and just blast the ship, which, by the way, that's why I'm saying, why did they bring the Noti? How was it safer to bring them with them? Sorry, it just really bugged me. But nonetheless, here we see them holding up the ship, which is really cool, using their force powers to do it. Not a great place to be located, but nonetheless, they save the Noti, so that's great. And then they kind of give it a little force push, which I thought was cool. And Sabine takes command and just decimates these two TIE fighters with a pretty cool move to use her ship to take them both out. Again, fantastic special effects. Absolutely love it. But unfortunately, the ship goes down too. So not good. And again, it just kind of shows Sabine does what Sabine wants to do. She's got that Mandalorian streak, right? Oi. But yeah, then you get Thrawn reacting to what just happened, and he's quite happy. Yes, he lost two TIE fighters, but it's an acceptable outcome. And while that sounds kind of cold, I appreciate him saying this too. Consider all the TIE fighters lost, but mark their captain for a citation. That's cool. So he's still honoring people for the defeat, yes, but for what they accomplished, which was to take out Ahsoka's ship. Very cool. Then, hey, more acceptable losses coming up because we got a bunch of people volunteering for, oh man, I don't know that I would want to volunteer for this. They know what's coming, right? The blessing of the Great Mother shall protect you in the battle against the Jedi. Well, it's not going to protect them, but it is going to bring them back, if you will. So yeah, it's very interesting because Morgan is saying, hey, they all wanted to do this. They were honored to make this sacrifice for you. And then this is a fascinating line. I'd love in the comments for you to tell me what you think about this. Thrawn says, number one, it's for the Empire, and then says the security of our galaxy. I'm trying to figure out if he even cares about the Empire. I mean, I don't know why he would at this point care about the Empire, but it does seem that he thinks there is a big threat out there and the Empire is the only way to defeat it. Because he says, the security of our galaxy. What is he so afraid of? Very interesting. So I've heard theories that he isn't necessarily wanting to bring the Empire back for the Empire's sake, but wanting to bring the Empire back to make sure that whatever this greater threat is will be defeated. That's pretty cool. So then we learn something kind of interesting, that Thrawn woke up the witches. I'm not quite sure what that means, but that's really interesting, like they had gone into hibernation or something. Of course, Baylan mentioned in the previous episode that even the witches were fleeing from something, whatever it is he's searching for. So maybe that's what they did, is went into hiding or hibernation to stay away from whatever this thing was. Anyway, very interesting that he woke up the witches and rebuilt his starship. Then, speaking of the starship, rain hellfire upon them. Wow, he is not playing around. There will be no negotiating with the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker, showing that he does indeed understand the significance of Ahsoka being the apprentice of Anakin. And of course, he knows that Anakin ultimately became Darth Vader. So yeah, this is what it's called, what it looks like, rather, when you rain down hellfire. My goodness. That said, apparently even a Star Destroyer can't hit anything because they absolutely cannot hit Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra. And then this, me being a little claustrophobic, this really freaked me out. It was hard to find an exact scene to show here, but yeah, you can see they just barely got through there before that door slammed on them. That was really hard to watch, really hard to watch. All right, so this is probably the most annoyed we're ever going to see Thrawn. Just a little bit of a snarl on his face, and he holds it for a good 2 or 3 seconds. He's not happy that they got in to the fortress, to the tower. But yeah, I love that. I love that. That if that's the most angry he ever gets, that is very impressive. So now we get to see some night troopers get mowed through, and at first this wasn't very much of a threat. I didn't really feel like this was much of a point to this because we knew they were going to get wasted. I mean, look at this. We have Sabine, Ezra, and Ahsoka. Oh, nah, they're not going to stand a chance. However, they had already alluded to what was going to happen, and sure enough, we're about to see it because as the last few are mowed down, I love this, Ezra force pushes those stormtroopers into Ahsoka, who then strikes a pose. Strikes her pose with her double lightsabers. Love it. But yeah, it's not over. So the Night Witches, Nightsisters, do their little seance, and in very creepy, hey, it's Halloween month, right? It's only appropriate. In very creepy fashion, they say, "Arise," and sure enough, the corpses are reanimated. So you wonder, did they understand? Did these night troopers understand what they were in for? I think so. I mean, that's why that discussion between the Nightsisters and Thrawn seemed like they volunteered. Wild. So yeah, you can see the mists rising up between all of them there. And then, man, they stand up in such a creepy fashion. And Ahsoka's like, has this happened before? And Ezra's like, no, this is new. And Sabine's like, lucky us. So yeah, very, very creepy scene. Very well done. And again, very appropriate for spooky season. And then this was interesting because this guy here had been dead, this guy on the right, and then just whoop, rises back up again. So you wonder, how do you even stop them? I mean, on one regard, they're not as menacing because they move slower. They seem pretty brain dead. Not that they could hit anything anyway, but they seem pretty brain dead. But on the other hand, what do you do to stop them? I mean, blasters don't stop them. The sabers don't seem to stop them. You got to cut them into bits like zombies, I guess. Crazy. So in the meantime, Thrawn is getting ready to escape, buying himself time. This was really cool to see him hooking up for his ride there as those clamps clamp down. Again, special effects, just fantastic throughout this. And then Thrawn realizes we need a little more time. And so Morgan's going to have to make the sacrifice play. And then he says, for the Empire. But we see her saying under her breath, for Dathomir. So if it wasn't already clear, if you hadn't already guessed it, though they make it really clear, the Nightsisters, it is a matter of convenience being with Thrawn. He's their trip out of this galaxy and back to their own galaxy, back to the other galaxy, the main Star Wars galaxy. But they don't really care about the Empire. They don't care about Thrawn. They only care about Dathomir. So you wonder, is there going to be a betrayal in the future? Then, making her sacrifice play, Morgan heads down there. She knows she's not going to get to go home. That's the bottom line. She's not going to get a return trip. But boy, does she put up a battle with Ahsoka. This was really, really cool. Very nice lightsaber duel versus her Talzin sword. And remember, they had the first battle back in Mandalorian Season 2, and she held her own, but didn't last too long. But man, she's got the power up. She did a lot better now. On the other hand, you've got poor Ezra and Sabine trying to figure out, how do you kill these guys? And like I said, it's very hard to kill him because literally he sent the saber right through this dude, nothing. And you can see it on his face. Ezra's like, we are in trouble. We are really in trouble here. And then Sabine finally finds a way to tap into the Force. You know, she just kind of this experience that she's had throughout this season has helped free her mind a bit more, so she's able to tap into it some. And sure enough, she pulls in her saber, and she figures out how you kill him. Right through the head. Look at that thing's mouth, too. Ugh, that is so nasty, because, of course, some of its mask got broken off. These things are going to be so creepy when we see them again in the movies and in future seasons. So, yeah, using that idea, Ezra realizes, okay, I can do that, too. And he takes one's head off. So that seems the only way to defeat them. Behead them or right through the brain. Very creepy. All right, on the other hand, Thrawn has done, Morgan has done what she needed to do, delayed everyone, and Thrawn is ready to launch. Powers up the engines. He wants to get out of here. One last, though, chance for some of them to at least get on the ship. I don't know. After seeing how Sabine isn't real great with the Force, I probably wouldn't have trusted her with this. And at first, yeah, bad news. He's fallen down, but finally Sabine finds the way to give him that little push up. And not far enough, though, because boom, he's gone. I was really nervous. I don't like heights. I don't like close spaces either, like I mentioned earlier, but I don't like heights at all. And so, yeah, that was creepy. But I love him just jumping back up again because he landed on, must have been a smaller platform down below. And then this was a nice hint as to his appearance later in the episode at the very end of what his plan was going to be, because he pulls a New Hope trick and gets on the intercom, 757 here, copy, making them know everything's fine, everything's fine. But then after he turns off the intercom, passes the little guy and says, thanks for the heads up, and of course takes his armor. And it makes you wonder, how has the Empire not figured out whether to be able to tell if your own people are under that armor or not? I mean, this trick has been used on them so many times. When are they going to go, okay, we need a biometric scan So we know if it's our dude or if it's somebody else hiding in that armor. We'll talk about that more later, because I do think there's a solution that they just haven't figured out yet. But anyway, back at the battle, you've got Ahsoka and Morgan really having an intense battle. Things are not looking good for Ahsoka, and I'm telling you, I gasped. I literally gasped out loud when Morgan sliced her lightsaber in half. I was like, no, you can't do that. That's a signature look for Ahsoka to have her two lightsabers. Now, obviously, she's going to get another one. There's no way she's down to one lightsaber for good. But yeah, things were not looking good for Ahsoka. And then, thank goodness, Sabine decides not to get on the ship and to join her in battle. And I love this. Sabine, again, shows how amazing she's going to be once she finally masters lightsaber and a little bit more of the Force, because she's using her Mandalorian skills. She's got the blaster in one hand. She's diverting blaster fire with her Beskar armor, and she's got the lightsaber in the other hand. So, yeah, going to be really, really cool to see her continue to grow in fighting strength and skill. Then, man, Ahsoka pulls the boss move, rips the sword out of her hands, and then guts Morgan with both the lightsaber and the sword. Notice the double slash. Oh, my word. That's a way to finish somebody off, right? Although, I mean, they reanimate stuff. She may not be dead. We may see her back again, which would be cool. I'd love to see her again. It was kind of sad to see her go. But yeah, good move by Ahsoka there. And the Nightsisters aren't real pleased. You know, they can sense her death, and I'm sure they're a little frustrated because they realize that she gave her life up at Thrawn's command just to buy some more time. So yeah, they're getting frustrated, you can tell. And this didn't help when Thrawn gives the very cold response of, "She's done what was required." Yikes. I mean, true statement, but man, said icy cold. Followed by, have the main batteries target the fortress for bombardment. He's basically destroying their fortress. Now, granted, they don't need it anymore, and they probably don't ever want to come back to this galaxy again, but you can see it in their eyes. They're not happy about that. That it's just, hey, it still has meaning to us, even if we're leaving it behind. But yeah, affirmative, Grand Admiral, and they demolish that fortress. Demolish it. Crazy. And speaking of the fortress, you can see the shots coming down from above. Sabine and Ahsoka decide to go a little Thelma and Louise and jump off the side of the cliff. Now, I will say, Ahsoka's jump, that's a good-looking jump, but Sabine's, that was sweet. So Sabine wins. Sabine gets 10 out of 10 for the jump. And why has no one ever figured out that whenever you jump off the side of a ledge, they're coming back again? They pull a Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and sure enough, Hu Yang saves their bacon. And now they have a ship. That's the best part. Now they have a ship, and so they can pursue Thrawn. Once again, these visuals are so amazing. I can't say enough about how much just visually appealing, as well as the music, is fantastic. So unbelievable. Just great series. All right, so Thrawn, though, realizes, you're not catching me. So he opens the intercom for a little bit of taunting. I know you because I knew your master. I concluded your strategies would be similar, and one wonders just how similar you might become. Now, you wonder how much this is affecting her, though. I mean, that's a good taunt from Thrawn, but after her little journey into either the world between worlds or limbo, either way, she kind of feels like, I'm not going to become that anymore. She's kind of overcome that. She's Ahsoka the White, but still, good taunt from Thrawn nonetheless. The biggest one, though, is, today, victory is mine. If nothing else irked Ahsoka, that had to hurt a little bit right there. And sure enough, long live the Empire, and we're out of here. See ya. Love how this thing looks taking off. This is really wild. So this is just seconds before it takes off, and then boom, the blur, man. Just, I mean, you wouldn't even see this in real time, but it was fun putting these freeze frames together, because yeah, that is sweet. And boy, they're kind of lucky they survived this, because you remember earlier in the season when they left the main galaxy, it wiped out some of the TIE fighters. So some of the X-Wings. But yeah, so very cool. Again, visuals look incredible. And he's out. He's gone. See ya. So with their tails tucked between their legs, they head back to the only place they can. And that's a cool shot, too. I love that. Back to see the Noti. And of course, the Noti are probably like, you know what? Things haven't gone well ever since we met you guys. I don't know if we want you back. Every time you come see us, bad things happen. So go away. But nonetheless, this is really cool. So Morai the owl, technically of the species convor, is spotted. And, for those that didn't watch Clone Wars and Rebels, this probably would not have been a necessarily significant moment. Although, for the record, Morai did show up in an Easter egg in Mandalorian Season 2 when Ahsoka first appeared. You can see Morai up there on the tree limb. So, but Morai is kind of like her familiar. Her protector stays with her. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Morai in a second because Morai ties so much into the statue that we see Baylan standing on, which is coming up. But let's just say that whenever Morai is around, that makes Ahsoka feel a lot safer. So it does explain what I thought was a very odd line at the end, which we'll also get to. But yeah, it's really important. Morai being there is very significant. That means for Ahsoka, she's thinking, I'm okay, I'm protected. So we kind of find out what happened to everybody now as they wrap up this season, and it's a big cliffhanger. Let's face it, this is a cliffhanger. This is Empire Strikes Back, where the heroes did not win. So we find out Shin has decided not to hang out with the heroes, but to go ahead with these dudes. So that's not good. That means there's going to probably be some more fights between the two camps. I really hope Shin just turns around and hangs out and joins Ahsoka and Sabine. But for now, no, there are more battles ahead. But man, the story that I wish there could have been more about was Baylan. Obviously, R.I.P. Rey. You wonder if they had to change this ending at all, if he was in more scenes, or if this was always the intent. That, he had a lot of scenes in the last few episodes. So in this one, maybe they just wanted to end with this cliffhanger, which it is quite a cliffhanger because, notice, he's standing on this statue with the outstretched arm pointing. It's kind of hard to see that finger pointing, but there is an outstretched arm pointing. Now, again, Filoni's a genius because he basically made it so you don't have to know what these statues are. So if you had no idea, you went, okay, they're clearly significant, but beyond that, who cares? However, if you did watch Clone Wars, then you know that this is the father, and this is a little hard to see at first, but is the son, and this would be the daughter. You can kind of see her arms there and her neck, but no head. These are very important characters from Clone Wars. Now, I don't know that they play any role in what's coming up other than they're guiding Baylan to his ultimate journey. However, if you get a chance, you might check out a Clone Wars episode, because I think it's only one, maybe it's two, where these guys appear. So the father represents the balance between the dark side and the light side of the Force, and you can probably guess whether the daughter is the dark or light, right? Light, and whether the son is the dark or the light. He would be the dark. But in the episode, Ahsoka actually dies, and she is brought back to life by the sacrifice of the daughter, who gives her life to bring her back. And ultimately, the father and the son also die in the episode, so they're all dead. But Morai then is sent to be Ahsoka's protector. So that owl is kind of like the final gift from the daughter. And so some have wondered, has Ahsoka taken the place of the daughter, the light side of the Force? And if so, who is the dark side? Is that Anakin? Is Anakin the son? Is Anakin the father because he's brought balance to everything? There's a lot of symbolism from this episode, but it was never really fully resolved. It's kind of, Filoni does a lot of stuff that's very metaphorical and doesn't really give you the answers. But so then the question is, since Baylan is standing on what would be the father, is he then going to become the father? Is he going to become the balance of the Force? There's a lot of lore behind this, but again, I don't know that it matters in the regard that I don't think the father, the son, and the daughter are going to come into play. However, I will say one other thing that's interesting. In those episode, it was said that they were from another galaxy. So this seems to be the galaxy where they came from, obviously, and this might be what the Nightsisters were afraid of. But here's the important thing. The hand is pointing off to, at least it seems, this mountain range over there. So again, that's why I say it's helpful to know who the father, the son, and the daughter are, but I don't think they're going to come into play. I think whatever he's heading to is going to come into play. But man, what are they going to do with this? Are they going to recast him? I can't believe they're going to abandon the plot. Something big is happening here. So they could recast him. They could go animated, like in Tales of the Jedi, to resolve the rest of it. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you would like to have happen. I am fine if they recast it as long as it's a good actor who tries his best to channel what Rey did. Because man, Rey was the shining light of this season, in my opinion. Ahsoka was awesome. I loved Hera actually a ton, but man, Ray Stevenson, dude. Anyway, it was a little disappointing to not know where he was going, but it becomes clear that was not part of the series. So we just have to accept that this is an open-ended ending with him. So, all right, let me know what you think about that. Then we do see why the Nightsisters teamed up with Thrawn, because their goal was to get back to Dathomir. Notice approaching Dathomir, Grand Admiral, and for them to finish what they wanted to do. So first, here we see them, approaching Dathomir. Again, love the visuals, very cool. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring back all these, I'm guessing, bodies and reanimate them. And that's a lot of bodies, thousands of bodies. So, man, we're going to see some really cool stuff coming up. This probably excited me as much as anything else because the Night Troopers we did see, especially the zombified versions, were awesome. And man, thousands of them? Oh, my word. That's going to be insane. And then I'm going to be honest, of all the Rebels reunions, Ezra and Sabine, Ezra and Ahsoka, I thought this Ezra and Hera one was incredible. So you see how he managed to escape Thrawn, which I'm not sure that would have been as easy as they make this seem. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'd love to know exactly how he snuck off Thrawn's ship. Nonetheless, we see Hera and several other of the New Republic standing guard. Hera raises her the blaster, and everybody raises theirs. I love that. It's like, oh, you're going to do that? Well, we are too. So it's a tense moment, but it's really cool. Chopper recognizes Ezra. So remember I said earlier, why hasn't the Empire figured this out? Well, you have to wonder, is the reason Chopper was able to figure out that was Ezra is he understood his biometric scan. He could tell, I know this guy. I know who this is under that armor. So if Chopper could figure it out, if war criminal Chopper could figure it out, how can the Empire not figure out how we determine this ain't our guy under the armor? But anyway, sorry, it's a digression, but it's just so weird. They've never figured it out. Nonetheless, this reunion though, I love it. He takes off the helmet, and just the acting, the facial expressions as she says Ezra, and she's just in disbelief, literally in disbelief. And Ezra says, "Hi, Hera, I'm home." Oh, wow. That was a cool reunion. We never even see them hug or make contact. We didn't need to. Just their facial expressions sold it all. I'm telling you, Hera was my favorite character, and Ezra has gone from being so frustratingly annoying for me in Rebels to being incredible. I can't wait to see more of him. So, yeah, love it, love it, love it. And then, yeah, I don't know that I agree with Ahsoka's position on this. And I actually think it made the ending a little weird for her to be so okay with this. She's saying, hey, Ezra's where he needs to be, and so are we. Really? Why do you need to be there? And then she says it's time to move on, like to give up almost. Now, as I alluded to earlier, I think some of the reason she's so calm about it is she saw Morai. She knows, hey, this is where we're supposed to be. I like that. But again, I just feel like people should be frustrated. I mean, Sabine should be really annoyed that they're stuck there. Ahsoka should be wondering, this is our purpose? Why are we here? But she seems to know something we don't know, because she seems totally fine with this and saying it's time to move on. I just felt it was a little bit of a weird way to end, but I get it. It was Filoni's way of saying, hey, there's plans, there's big stuff coming. And then this was a fantastic way to end. Whether I liked Ahsoka's being fine with the situation, I didn't, I'll admit. But I really did like this. Last little look at Force Ghost Anakin. Very well done. So happy Hayden Christensen came back. Incredible. Perfect ending to a really, really good series. I do think they stuck the landing. I don't think this was my favorite episode, but it had a lot to love. And it sets us up perfectly for Mandalorian Season 4, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, and the movie. So let me know what you think. Did you like this ending? Did you like this episode? And did you like this series? As usual, I do have the timeline out there, and I was asked if I would put some of these things in that overall timeline. I'm going to try to fit them all in. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to find a way to make it all work. I just may not be able to get it all on one slide. But anyway, timeline's out there on the Google Drive. And don't forget the October contest. Be a subscriber, leave a comment. You can get one of these books or one of these steel books. And there will be five winners. And of course, we have the Discord. Love to have you join us on the Discord. You can see here we are talking about the season finale and the future after that. So if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we will all wait patiently for Skeleton Crew and the further adventures in the Star Trek universe.